We had this set up a while ago to have this session because coming into office in July, we wanted to start off with coming out to meet and greet every community within a central ward. We kind of pushed back because we wanted to invite our wonderful mayor who's here tonight. Definitely, that is a great reason to push back a meeting, right? Yeah. So the reason why we're here today. So with the listening and learning session, how it works is basically we come out and we want to hear your thoughts, ideas, visions, problems, issues, all on the table. We don't usually get into a long, festering argument or arguing or debate at times, but we usually like to come out. The point of us is coming out to listen to you, to talk about the issues. Tonight is very much a special night because we do have the mayor here, and he will be able to address many of some of the concerns, and I would as well, but it's not every night that we get to, pile out together with the community. So it's not a pretty presentation. We don't come out here with a PowerPoint to, shove all of our ideas to you. It's more so for you to talk to us. And so that's the reason why we're here. So with that being said, let's get started. Mayor? Yeah. Let me introduce our mayor. Mayor Raj J. Baraka.
Thank you for having us. I was actually enjoying playing the backseat for a second. Listening to the councilwoman do her thing is very encouraging to see. I haven't been in this building for a presentation or a community meeting at all. I've been in here visiting friends and people, but that's about it. So I'm excited to hear what people have to say. Talk a little bit about what's going on around downtown and in this area, what the city is thinking about, and some of the the news that we've gotten recently. So I'd like to talk to you guys about that and listen to some of the things that you have to say about the city, because I could talk for a long time, but it tries to shut me up. So I would like to hear what it is that you have to say and try to entertain any questions that you have, if I can.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're very welcome.
So.
Not everybody at once.
I'm Scotty Battle Huff, and I've been a teacher for Newark Public Schools for 17 years.
Wow.
I love Newark.
Yeah.
However, I've lived in Bloomfield for many years. Just moved to Newark 1 year ago, and what made that possible was how Newark has evolved.
Right.
So we love this building. I mean, it is 110% of what we possibly expected.
Right.
The only concern is the parking situation. Some people have even graver concerns about parking, but the ticketing and that it's a business district, but it's a residential district. I don't even really come home before 6 because I don't want to wait in my car waiting for a spot. And my husband parks in the lot that he pays for, but it's just it seems a little unfair. We're in Ironbound to have residential, and here it's business district, and even the signage at night, it indicates that we can't even really park here, although we know we can, so it's something you have to kind of figure out.
Because of the rush hour?
I don't really know what
parking on the main street?
It's
Commerce.
as though it was some kind of overnight cleaning from midnight to 6.
Okay.
And I think any of us is, and plus I think any of us is yet to ever see a cleaning truck.
Yeah, the signs are old.
Yeah.
Someone actually called our office a while ago from here complaining about the signs and enforcement, how it's not happening. And so we actually have someone looking into it to have them remove the signs because it's not happening anymore. And so we're actually working on that piece. And I don't remember the resident who called in about it, but kudos to them if you're here. But yeah, we're trying to deal with that situation.
So, about that, before you go forward on that, Newark has never had anyone living downtown. We have about 5,000 units in the pipeline now. By 2020, there should be thousands of people downtown. A few years after that, we have about a good 15,000 units that will probably be in this area. So that is going to dramatically change how we do business, how in terms of policing, fire, OEM. So there's a lot of changes that we have to make to accommodate. Before, nobody came down here except doing business, and the city closed at a specific time. We're trying to change that. We're trying to make the city open a little later. We're changing the center of gravity from Broad and Market to Mulberry Commons, around the J-Pack, and the park and the bridge and all the development that's going to go around there. So it'll be very, very different, and, you know, we have to catch up, like all the other departments in the city have to catch up with the kind of development that's happening at the same time.
So to continue the my name's Jenny Reyes. I've lived here for 2.5 years. I moved from suburbia in
Welcome.
Bergen County. Love it here, would never go back. To continue on the parking situation, my car has been vandalized twice on this block. Most recently
When you say this block, you mean?
on Commerce.
Commerce.
Most recently within the last 36 hours. Apparently, we called the garage with the symptoms of the car, and they said it's a thing in Newark for people to go under the car with a reciprocating saw and take out a catalytic converter.
Right.
So, not happy about that.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's,
Did they make a police report? Did you make a police report?
no, I mean, this is just
Okay.
within the last,
Okay.
it started at 7 o'clock this morning, we figured we found this out. And my car was broken into one other time on this block. Still does not dissuade me from staying here, I love it here. But this is, I mean, yes, we need parking on the street, but then we need protection on the street as well.
So I think when we have these meetings, we need to, I don't know if you guys have a tenant association or something like that, but we need to bring the captain down here. There's a downtown district police department now. It's probably been open maybe 4 or 5 years, if that. So they maintain this area, and we have been talking to the police about the different types of crime that occurred down in this area, which is different than other parts of the city, to get them acclimated to how they should patrol down here. The only way that they would know definitively, because they follow CompStat, right? So if you go to CompStat, most of their deployment in crime, how they deal with crime is through data. So calls for service, mostly, as well as trends. And I'm sure they don't have a lot of trends and not too many calls for service in this area, particularly around those things. So I think that's important. So whenever anything happens, it's important for people to call the police so they can get it on their data. So when they're in a CompStat, they can begin to say, this is a problem, you know, as opposed to something that just happened as an anomaly, right? Okay, this doesn't normally happen here, so we don't need any patrols in that area, because they're not going to send a patrol in an area, honestly, for something that they think is happening 1 time or 2 times. It has to be a pattern, and they'll begin to put patrols in this area.
Well, I reported it to the leasing office about my car being broken into twice. And they're like, oh, well, we go to CompStat meetings all the time, and we never have any bad reports about
Right,
crime
that's why you have to
area.
call the police, not the leasing office.
No, I did. I
Okay.
made police reports for both times the car was broken.
So
Was it
that
on
means
this block?
everybody has to do that.
It was on
50
this
feet
block.
from the front door.
I just want to chime in.
Right.
For those of you who may or may not know me, my name is Marla, working at Eastern Office along with Pablo, Cheryl, and Ann. And I am a board member of the Newark Downtown District. And
Right.
Pablo is also very, very much involved with the Newark Downtown District Security Task Force.
Right.
Please, when incidents like this happen, absolutely call us. I can tell you, I personally reach out to the top people at the NDD who assist us. And also, Pablo has a direct line of contact with the police. So we have worked very closely with them on any break-ins that have happened. We've increased the patrols as a result on Commerce Street. And furthermore, as everyone knows as well, is we have our own security guards here from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. And it's important for us to know this. We don't always know. And therefore, we can tell them and they can increase their surveillance on the outside of this building. And I will, just one last thing I will tell you, in the past when we had some break-ins on Commerce Street, our armed guard was successful and found someone and that person was arrested.
Right. But I want to tell you, you should do everything she says. That's right, do all of that, but you have to call the police. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because we need the data. We need the data. When I go to CompStat, I talk to the public safety director once a week, and the chief, once a week. We have Friday, we have meetings, we have city staff meetings every Friday morning. We go over police statistics all of the time, over and over again, which is why we have a 50-year low. We go over that stuff like it's crazy. We have to have the data to support what's happening, whether you're talking about financial investment, cars in the area, all of those are specific. And we just opened another precinct this morning in the 7th district, the 7th precinct in the North District, which is, we opened that precinct because that's the busiest district. It might not be the worst district in terms of the type of crime, but it's the busiest district in terms of calls for service. And calls for service represents when something happens, people call the police in that area, says, no matter how small it is. And I tell people, even if they complain, well, the police took too long, call them anyway, right? You call them, and the other person call them, other person call them. Because generally, the police come because dispatchers send them there, right? Or their captains give them, a routine route that they have to go in. If there's a strenuous lookout in this area because of something specific, or there's a pattern of crime, they begin to come and do whatever it is that they do in these areas. Because it may be something going on that we don't know about. Somebody stealing catalytic converters of particular cars. There may be something happening that the police can get an idea or a handle on. It might not just be some guy roaming the street trying to steal your catalytic converter. It can be a group of people doing something that they have to interrupt.
I just wanted to echo what the mayor said. So we do have a downtown district police force. The captain is Captain Perez, and so we'll let him know. My team is here taking notes in regards to taking this information back, but we'll also be interested in hosting another meeting to invite the captain out and the resource officers to speak with you guys about, the issues and things happening here. But we'll definitely take that back to him so that he can increase control down in this area.
Is there a difference between the Newark Downtown District Police and the Newark City Police?
So there is no Newark Downtown District Police per se. So Newark Downtown District is basically
it's a commercial
a neighborhood.
district.
It's a neighborhood improvement district, like an organization basically charged with basically keeping our downtown district up to par and doing things, but they do not have police per se that report to Newark Police Department.
But you were all just
It's the city
referring-
police.
It's the city
Okay.
police.
You were saying that.
They have a precinct downtown.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the office on Market Street?
That's the metro, the metro unit. So they patrol all of the downtown area, literally their house right there.
I have something to add. I do not have a car, so I'm a transit person. And I walk everywhere. And I have mentioned this to people, but I didn't do what I should have and called in or walk over. This is 2 pet peeves. Right here on Commerce and Court, they don't stop. There's not a stop sign there. There needs to be a stop sign there because it's dangerous. I'm agile, but what about people that are not? It's very dangerous. And I know it's an expensive thing, but it's something that needs to be done. And then the other thing, I have noticed that they just changed the walkways, I guess to make it more obvious to cars that it's a walkway.
Yes.
However, right here, when you're crossing by Nike,
Right.
those cars do not stop at the light. They keep going through the light, even though it's red. That's a ticket.
Yeah.
Also right here.
We could watch people run this way right
Yes,
outside.
it's so dangerous. I've yelled at people with my New York words. So they need another sign saying that you must stop on red.
Oh, you're talking about red out here?
Yeah, people run this way all day long.
Yeah, they run that. And if we recall a couple of years ago, there was a bus accident.
Yes,
At Broad and Raymond.
That was a bus accident.
The bus drivers are partly at fault with this. You see them being as guilty as others
Going
down
through
at Prudential Drive, coming off of Broad, the Prudential shuttle vans.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's
down there at least 50 miles.
part of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's in the walkway.
Yes.
Anyway, I know there's a process to get that done.
So the stop sign thing, just to address your first concern, it's not expensive and it's not difficult. So we'll put that on our list, Commerce.
Commerce Court and Commerce
They have to do
Street.
a traffic
Yeah,
study.
they'll
on it.
come
Commerce Court and Commerce Street.
Yeah,
So
they
what
can't
we'll
just
do
put a
is
sign
we'll
up.
request
They
for
have to
them
do
to do a traffic study and hope that it comes out in the bill for yourself.
Well, you already have to stop there,
Whatever
but
the
people just
study
don't know the
comes
law.
out.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's the
it's
intersection.
busier now than it ever was,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they shouldn't be driving that fast anyway. It's just a block, but people do, and they just turn, and if you're not paying attention, you'll get hit.
Got it, so we'll put that request in for traffic.
And the police can come down here and do some traffic enforcement in this area, definitely.
This is a bit of a non sequitur, but I've heard that a number of homeless shelters in the area have shut down recently, and I'm concerned about what's going to happen to people in the winter.
No, that's not true.
We actually just opened up our homeless shelter November 1st. We have 8 locations now, Mayor? 7 locations available now. And so they're open. All of that information is available on our city's website. We also have a hotline number that they can call for placement. So we went from 1 large city shelter to literally 7 mini shelters that we have now. So they are definitely open, and they've been open since November 1st.
Are there enough domestic violence shelters?
Well, you can never have enough. I feel like, that's like a caveat question. But we do have one location, I believe, open for women and children.
Right. And we're getting ready to open up, well, we're trying to develop four family homes specifically for that purpose. Unfortunately, the crime that is increasing in the city is domestic violence. So even the homicides that have increased, that took us over the number that, us going down, have been domestic violence. So we are trying to really think about how we address that.
Hi, my name is Sarah Schrag, and I've just lived here for almost a year, but I've taught high school here for 6 years. And I just wanted to ask about lead. I know that this building has been tested to be safe, but I'm really concerned about my students' families across the city. So I was wondering if you could talk about the action plan.
Absolutely. So just the issue itself is any household that has a lead service line in their house. That's about 20,000 homes in the city. If kids live in those townhouses, if they live in big buildings, then they don't have lead service lines. That's why this building doesn't have a lead service line, because the water volume that comes in big buildings need larger pipes. They need cast down in larger pipes. Mostly homes, 1 family, 2 and 3 family homes that have these kind of lead service lines that go to our water main have an issue. Our corrosion control inhibitor that everybody in the country uses ceased to work. Well, it lost its effectiveness, the EPA said. So we have to use another corrosion control inhibitor. It takes, unfortunately, 6 months for it to optimize. So we are passing out filters until it optimizes itself. We already negotiated with the state to be able to use public money to change people's lead service lines in the city. It's a huge task. It's about a $70 million project over about 8 years of time. Hopefully, we'll be able to start that and keep that money over that period of time, because money is not it's not infinite. And once we fix one person's lead service line in the city with public money, everybody around the state's hands is going to raise and say, well, I have a lead service line too. So for me to think that is going to be the answer, I would struggle. I just don't like to mislead people. I know we're going to be struggling to keep that money, even though we fought for it in the first place. We're going to be struggling to keep it to fix people's lead service lines. But hopefully we should get through this fairly easy. The lead that our kids experience, though, has really nothing to do with the water. It has more to do with their home. It has to do with the lead-based paint that's in their house. That has been the city's problem for decades. The water thing is a little sexy because of Flint, so everybody talks about that. But our kids' lead in their blood levels have been high because of lead-based paint, because of chips people put in their mouth, because of the dust that they breathe in their home. The city has a robust program where we put people out of their home, we put them in a transition house, and we fix their home all for free. We make it lead-free or lead-safe. The problem is it takes us long because we don't have a lot of homes to put people in as we transition them to fix. So we do maybe 40 or so homes a year. There are thousands of homes that have lead-based paint.
What about this carcinogenic disinfectant?
The haloacetic acid thing?
Yeah, right. That is what Karen needs. But at the end of the day, that is not an emergency level. You would have to have drunk that at that level, high level, for 50 years in order for you for it to affect you in any way. What that is organic matter gets into the water as it gets into, because it's a public source. Organic matter gets in the water, it gets more in the water in the summertime than any other part, and it kind of joins with the disinfectants that we put in the water, the chemicals that we put in the water. So what the city has to do is flush. And the DEP tells us to flush the mains, and it's gone, which is why it's not an emergency. The DEP would tell us if it's an emergency, we would have to warn everybody in the city not to drink the water within 24 hours. But that is not that. I think it was like something, they saw that, so hey, let's add this to the lead thing, you know, which I think is irresponsible. But ultimately, we have to send notices out to everybody that pay water bills. Whoever owns this building, if you pay water bill, anybody pays a water bill, they get a notice that tells them what the levels are. Plus on water, it shows you the levels of whatever it is in the water. So we test 2 times a year, and because it's organic matter, there may be a high level in 2 or 3 of the tests, and so we have an action report that we have to do, the DEP puts in place, and we do the action report, and we resolve the issue. But I don't see that as being a problem, neither does the DEP. The problem that we have now is the issue with lead leaking from your pipes into the water.
Yeah, I was just, is there any way that the city has some sort of map of where the problem pipes are?
Yes, we do.
Online?
Yes, you
Okay.
can go to NewarkLeadServiceLines.com.
And you can also punch in any address, it'll come up.
It'll tell you. Yeah. And just because you have a lead service line, by the way, does not mean that lead is leaching into your water, right? You can live in a part of the city where, because the city has 2 reservoirs, both of which are bigger than the city itself. Some are 3 times as the size of the city, right? So we have the Paquonic system that feeds the West Ward, parts of the North, parts of the South, parts of the Central. We have the Wanacue that feeds the East Ward, and parts of those communities I just said too. So you could have a lead service line and not be affected because the corrosion control inhibitor in your water source is working.
Yeah. I don't know how that affects children and how it affects our job.
Right.
I haven't drank the tap water for 5 years now. So I've been pulling water. Just to be safe. So how does it
Maybe you
affect?
can test the polling water too.
So how does it affect our job? Because a lot of people.
Well, so lead has a greater effect on developing organs, right? Mostly the brain. So that's why the focus for us is on young people. Drinking large amounts of lead for adults is not good for you, obviously. But your brain and your organs are already developed, right? Kids who are developing under the age of 6 years old the lead has a greater impact on them because it affects their ability to develop those organs completely. Mainly the brain, which is why it's an issue for us to deal with it because young people are affected.
My name is Micaela Correa, and I've been living here since 2015. I'm a graduate from Rutgers, Newark. I recently, thanks to some professors that were in on the Newark 2020 initiative, I took the nice walk down to the office, and I started looking for jobs through there. But what I'm particularly interested in actually is not just being helped by the office, but I actually want to help them. I was a journalism major and I specialized in communications. So I was wondering if we wanted to get on the communications team for that, because I see that, I was told by the woman there, I should say, that a communications team is going to be built. How would I go about getting involved with a communications team for the Newark 2020 initiative?
That's excellent. I think you should reach out to our office, Ms. Taylor, and she could put you in touch with somebody named Samantha Gordon, and we could absolutely use your help communicating to people in the city how to be involved in that. Yeah.
If you give Nikki, is Nikki here?
Yes.
If you give her your information, we'll forward it over to you in the morning via email.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'm Barbara Karpetska. I've been working in Newark since December and in this building for the last 6 months. And I just want to pause and say a big thank you to Pablo, because the building is just amazingly well maintained and the service is second to none. With that said, it's definitely exciting. And as a matter of fact, I'm recruiting new tenants as we speak. So this is a very exciting time for Newark, there's no doubt about it.
And so we talked about parking. With that said, what are your thoughts on 3 other items I would like to bring up? What really changed across the river in New York, sort of the dynamic in the city, is people in the streets and bike stands and city bike paths. What are your thoughts on that? That's item number 1. Item number 2 is, I personally don't have children, but we do have families with young children in the building, and it would be like so wonderful to have something happen by this dead fountain here, and like a little playground, and actually what do we do to make the fountain alive? And then last but not least, I'll shut up, I promise. And then last but not least, it seems that the businesses here locally cater more to the weekday crowd. And there's now one cafe, God bless them. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I go there just to spend my money. What do we do to bring more businesses
Can
to
I
open?
add to that before you answer?
That's it. This is done.
Maybe we should hire you.
I just found it interesting that we were saying we didn't have enough parking in the city. I think the opposite. I think we have too much parking. There's parking garages on every public block. I'm curious to find out. You spoke about the development of the city. The city seems to be a working city, and you said it's going to become a living city. I'm curious to know what will happen to these garages when we no longer need them, and like she was saying, what happens when the city becomes more activated with other programs that caters to people, not cars.
I'll talk about that. I'll be glad.
Yeah, it's. I've lived in a few cities, and I find this one very interesting.
That's a good word.
Typology is just so different from others. I'm curious to find out what.
Well, Newark was a maker town, you know.
Yeah.
It's an industrial city.
Yes.
It's a port town, you know. People came here to work to build, and you know, that's the history of it. It's not really, in fact, historically, people didn't come downtown often. They could actually buy their goods in the neighborhoods where they lived at. So in the Lavender, Central Mountain, 3rd Street. People went there to go shopping in those communities, and they came downtown to work. We're changing that, so it takes a lot to do that. The easy question is, Prudential bought that place over there, so we can't do anything with it.
Prudential, when can we talk to Prudential?
Sure, I understand that. We definitely can do that, but they own it, so I can't tell you we're going to do anything with it. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they have.
At some point, that fountain has so much history on it. It used to blur out for years. I mean, since I was
probably one of the few people who's seen it running. I can hear that.
Like, it used to go all the time, then they shut it down, then they shut it back up. So, I mean, we can inquire what the plans are for the structure there.
They're waiting for the Marbury Commons to be finished. So we should be done. We should have the first opening of the park, Riga Park, in December. Right, and in the spring it'll be fully open. And then I was just telling Andy back there that we have the money for the bridge, so we have a funding mechanism for the walking bridge, like the High Line. We're going to legislate for the funding. We have to get the support and the cooperation of NJ Transit and Amtrak, and you know that kind of stuff is difficult. But the governor has agreed to sit in and kind of facilitate meetings between the city and these institutions, so we can be able to get this thing done. It's supposed to attach itself to the train station, allow people to walk off of the platform down into the park over the bridge, and connect the East Ward or the Ironbound to the central business district, which we believe is a good thing to do, which is what I said earlier about changing the center of gravity to Marbury Commons and the whole NJ Pack area, so that we can bring people down in this community, and the 50,000 college students from University Avenue onto this place as well. There are a bunch of projects in the works. A lot of folks that are calling bike share programs. They have a bike program that does not have, so they have those portless bikes that they just throw down. I don't know if I want that. we have been meeting with various people about what the city is going to entertain. So it's right in front of us. And we're doing traffic studies now around, you know, the congestion that happens in the area because of all the business and activity that's going on. So we're doing traffic studies around bike lanes, around bus lanes even, to reconfigure what's happening downtown, McCarter Highway, everything. It's going to take a serious overhaul because the city was not built for people to be in this area. So when we put people in the area, there's a lot of things that must change in order to sustain that. And but the last piece on that is that when people build buildings, they're required to build a certain amount of parking spaces or lots or garages or whatever we call it. The city is contemplating reducing the amount of spaces that's mandated for you to build in exchange for shuttle, electric shuttle, or any car service that the developer wants to put in place. We're working on those kind of concepts now, but we're talking about electric cars or cars you know, that are not the basic fuel and gas kind of guzzlers that we have. So all of those things between engineering and economic development, they're going to make those things happen.
And Mulberry Commons is going to have fountains. It has a fountain.
So how about incentivizing developers to invest on the outside of their buildings?
Right.
Like in the local businesses to have them open on the weekends, because I was at a meeting not that long ago of the Newark Business Association of some sort, and they were announcing new buildings, and I frankly thought that that should not be permitted. They were advertising one of the buildings as having an indoor dog run, and I thought that it was just so inappropriate because, you know, rather than integrate with the community, there's going to be this artificial divide of people having a dog run inside.
Right.
Have them invest in a dog run outside.
Right. I agree with that. But there's a long way between what developers say they're going to do by the time they get to the zoning and planning board and figure out what actually is going to happen. So when people say stuff out in public, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually going to happen. They might even have the money to do it. So, I mean,
They gotta get approved.
Right. All that.
I'm sorry, I want to go to someone who's being
There's a question over there.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Thank you for your time, first and foremost. So I grew up in Kearney, in town over. So there was a talk about homeless and homeless shelters, and not to stress the situation too much, I did run into a homeless woman in New York, Penn Station. Very frustrating. She was asking anybody to help her find a shelter. So I asked her where she was from and why she was here and why she didn't know where one was. So her answer to me was, I'm from North. Like, hey, I'm from right there. What are you doing over here? And she very sincerely answered, I don't like the shelters in North. So I think that's probably a separate issue. I don't know what's going on, but maybe something there to help them feel more welcome. I understand it's a very tough situation. But what's something that concerns me the most, Mr. Mayor, I think we attended a dinner together about Earning Your Future. I think it was 2 years ago. And it was more about the All-Star program up here in Broadway.
Yeah.
At the time, we were really discussing about a police officer initiative where it was more of a buddy system. I think you may remember.
Cops and kids.
Yeah, cops and kids. So then, what has been going on now? What have we been doing for the youth in the city to make sure they know there's a future, there's other things that they could be seeing, that they have an opportunity to, you know, do great things?
Numerous amount of things. Yeah, so just to piggyback on, first of all, we're doing a whole lot of things, more things than we have time to talk about here, of course. But the Cops and Kids program, it still runs. They still host quarterly meetings where we invite kids to. We connect with their public schools from different after-school organizations, and we invite them to come for the Cops and Kids program. It's actually grown so large that we moved to a quarterly meeting. They just had one about a month and a half ago, and there was like 100 kids there. And so we're continuing doing that. That hasn't stopped. All Stars program is still doing that. But we're doing the numerous things. We've invested a lot in our after-school programs, our recreation centers. As far as offering kids jobs in the summer, we increase each year to offer more youth jobs in the summer to get them off of the street. And so we're doing a lot. We just got back vocal control of our school district, which is the #1 source of the problem for all of the educators in the room today. And so we're happy about that. We're glad about that, and we're looking on moving forward in a new direction for North. to create this sense of community schools and start there, because it really starts there. It starts really at home, but then it starts at the schools, and so we're excited about that. And so every day is just something happening in our city for young people, and that's why I'm always spending so much time advertising about it, because people are always like, oh, what do I do with my kid? What is it to do? Well, there's a ton of things to do. We're just trying to think about other ways on how we promote that out there to the communities. That's our focus at this point, and so I spend a lot of time putting things on social media, hotline, a toll-free hotline, going out, passing out flyers, connecting with the schools, because we have to get the word out there about the things happening. Only a select few who have the initiative to go out and find out what's happening, know what's happening, but there's some that are not doing that, and that's just the bottom line. And so we're trying to change that dynamic to get as many communication pieces out there so people know about the great things happening for our young people in our city.
Two major things. We have youth ambassadors. So there's a youth office in the city in the basement. When people leaving City Hall, they coming in. So you could, it is run by an outstanding, brilliant young girl named Shakira McKnight. We have every third Saturday youth academy development classes, leadership development classes that are packed with young people who are very eager and excited to learn and figure out how to help change their city. We have a summer youth leadership development overnight camp as well for young people in the city. Teaching them about leadership, about governing, about character development, all that stuff. So there are many programs that we have, as the councilman said. We're trying to get more and more kids involved in what it is that we're doing, and more importantly, we're allowing them to figure these things out on their own. So all of the stuff that I said is stuff that I did not create. Right? So these are things that were created by young people. They just forced me to be involved in it. So yeah, I do the leadership class myself every third Saturday in King's Restaurant.
Hi, my name is Dewana Williams, and I've been in the building about 10 years now. But I'm born and raised in Newark. I love Newark, and I just want to commend you for what you've been doing with entrepreneurs in the city. So I just want you to talk about that a little bit of what you're doing here. And I had the pleasure of meeting your dad in John's place one year before he passed.
John's place is still here.
Me too. I love that.
You know, we obviously, like, economically, there's only a few cities that have businesses that are growing, or starting up, I should say. In fact, in most cities in America, businesses are closing. We are trying to, we know that business opening helps us to create jobs and kind of grow our economy here. So we focused a lot on entrepreneurship. We do classes for folks that want to start their own business. We kind of front them the money, give them a space to begin, we give them an incubator space to begin working out of in different parts of the city. We have crowdfunding programs. We have opportunities, Moms That Hustle program. We have you know, a lot of programs that are geared towards women entrepreneurs in the city, start their own businesses. A lot of shared spaces, a lot of incubator spaces that we're investing in and bringing to the city as well. There's a young brother named Medina who is about to open up another shared space. He has one down in Gateway. We're moving him up to Clinton Avenue to have a huge shared space there. Business and tech and culture up the street a little bit. So we are spending a lot of time and energy around that. I have monthly meetings with some of the guys in the city to talk about investing in property and building and owning properties in the city, as well as how to start your own business, LLC, to bid for contracts. We also do a bonding class for them to help them get bonded, so they're able to do mid-size and large scale projects as well. So it's through NCEDC, which is right around here. We spend a lot of energy and time trying to facilitate and cultivate local entrepreneurs in the city, because we think that's the way to go, obviously.
What happened to the Berg in Military Park?
Well, they had that was a personal dispute between. I don't want to go into all of that between them and the folks.
Is it city run or is it?
No.
Oh, it's a private.
The military park, before I became the mayor, it's the same thing that's getting ready to happen in Washington Park, but a little different. So we have an agreement with the folks in Military Park They have the same people who opened up Bryant Park, as a matter of fact. They do the kind of programming and all that other kind of stuff. So Berg has kind of had an agreement with those folks. And you know, I don't know, there's a lot of back and forth. I'm getting in the middle of that, and obviously it didn't pan out to be good for them. We're getting ready to do a similar kind of thing in Washington Park. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are interested, mostly kind of developers and other folks in this area, going to invest in Washington Park and kind of make it like Military Park, but a little different. But we're going to have a different MOU with those guys than we have with the Military Park folks. Definitely.
My name is Margaret. I have 3 kids, and I was wondering if that new park, Washington Park, is going to have slides and swings and, you know, kids friendly.
That's a good question. I doubt it, based on what their specs are. I mean, we definitely can talk about that without question, especially since we're talking about, and that's important because it's 2 different constituencies here, right? You're talking about developers and business folks who are interested in the people who work there, having opportunities at lunchtime and other kinds of things to hang out. You're talking about family-oriented folks who get ready to live downtown. And so we have to marry that in some kind of way. I think Military Park tries to do that a little bit, but not much. We're gonna, maybe we should have a conversation with them about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I do know that the Mulberry Commons is gonna be 100% family friendly, so it's not gonna be like these. The park that the city is building, the 3-acre park, is going to be a lot different, more interactive, more family-oriented, stage there for events, different things like that. So it is designed for family and entertainment, the 3-acre park there, which is why Prudential Arena and all those folks are excited about it because they get to program the park as well.
We actually have a meeting with the developers of the Washington Park building this week. In terms of that exact piece, we are pushing, you know, because I truly believe that as the downtown area grows, we have to have more spaces for family-oriented places. You know, I always say, oh, we can't do everything for studios and 1 bedrooms. It doesn't work like that. Truly, being a homeowner and a parent, you want to have places you can come out of your house, no matter if you live downtown or up the hill, and come to some of those parks in those areas. So we have a meeting with them to talk about that. And that is our goal and our idea, to have some sort of family-oriented play space there in Washington.
I have a couple of things. So first of all, in Military Park, so first of all, I'm one of the people who teaches one of those free classes out in the park in the summer, so I'm one of those people.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so if you walk by and see the Zumba girl, like that's me doing Zumba. And so there's a lot of programs for kids there, and they don't advertise.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I would be out there and little kids would walk by and say, oh, can I dance with you? Of course you can. They would have like a kids Zumba class, and it was amazing. And it was like, I wish people knew this stuff existed. There were movies, kids art classes, talks. Yeah, they like didn't advertise.
Silent party was
It was so
awesome.
sad, like no one ever came. Honestly. Second of all, I just have to echo what everyone said about like pedestrian safety in Newark, because I also don't drive. I'm a transit person. I walk so much. I walk all around the city. Cars will yell at me, like I have the right of way, the walk sign is on, and a car will be turning right, he will yell at me and say, why are you crossing? Why are you turning? You're gonna kill me. It just happens every day, especially on New Street and Broadway where the Whole Foods is. That's now become like this high traffic area that it wasn't before. I get yelled at there all the time when I have the right of way. I never cross against the light ever, and it's, you know, when it's my turn. And it's a strange light because as soon as it turns off the walk sign, it turns right back on. It's kind of weird. Anyway, it's just really dangerous to walk around here, and I think that makes it scary to walk around in Newark, which is
especially at night. Can I echo her talk? I think we could use speed bumps, or effectively, cars hate them. City should really be for people. This is not a highway, and if you want it to be livable, and livability is going to be the key to success here, will be all that traffic, all that messy stuff, especially if you want bikes. I've Amsterdam, Pittsburgh Industrial, both of these cities have big, but they're very people friendly, and on the weekend there's a ferment of activity. There's people outside buying things in the cold with farmers markets and shops open. I think you want that you can do it here.
It's really bad too when there's an event going on. The people who come to the events do not care if you're in the street. They figure, I'm going to get to my event, I'm going to park, I'm going to drive through here.
At the pack and approve.
All is, there's Devil's Nights, forget it.
We need a cop, I mean, we should have a cop like they have for the pack.
I think you need to have a meeting with the captain to come down here because he needs to hear some of this stuff.
So we'll definitely set it up.
So, yeah, go ahead, so.
I didn't even reason to hang on that.
I'm so sorry. Thanks, Pablo. My name is Toussaint. My husband and I have lived in Newark almost 4 years at this point. Mayor, I know you mentioned earlier that there's going to be a lot of more developments coming in that are bringing in more people, more housing, things like that. Is some of that development going to be condos, things to purchase, not just things to rent?
Yes. Yes. So that, the market kind of dictates that more than anything. And, I was saying earlier, I think, we're probably 1 or 2 buildings away from that. Once Shaquille finishes his building on, Rector, which I think will be open at the top of the quarter, and the Verizon building is up. I think, we begin to get the kind of turn in the market that we've been looking for. So people have been talking about it. You just have to have a pioneer.
Can this building become condo?
I'm so happy to say that's not our area. But I do want to say we did just open condos too. I mean, people don't consider it downtown, but it is downtown in Lincoln Park area. They opened the condos there. And it seems to be thriving well, trying to fill and people to buy. So different projects are definitely considering the buying options. We're looking for that.
They are.
I just bought one.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
I just want to kind of go back to some of the transportation issues that we've been talking about. Before we get speed bumps, we need to fix a lot of the roads because I'm an attorney, I commute to my office or I take public transit into my city office. And some of those potholes, they'll take your whole car out. And there's also an issue, I've lived in the building since 2013, and I think it was 2014, we had that really, really bad snowstorm, and it took over a week to clear Commerce.
Yes.
It was completely blocked over by snow for over a week. So what is the city doing to kind of prepare? Climate change is happening, we're getting hit with bigger and more significant storms. What are we doing to kind of prepare or mitigate that?
Well, you should have seen after 2014, the snow has been moving a lot better in terms of what the issue with the snow is. That's because in 2014 the city had 10 snow plows. We don't have 10 snow plows anymore by the grace of God. And the development that's going on in the city and all the other kind of things is getting us the kind of money that we need to purchase snow plows. So there's been a kind of clear market improvement in how the snow has been handled since that snowstorm in 2014. We're still buying more and more equipment, as a matter of fact. The city was in a recession at the time, lost a lot of equipment, stuff went into disrepair. So when I came in office, we had 10 snow plows compared to Jersey City that has 90. So most of our snow operation was an external, not 90% of it was an external operation. And we learned very quickly that vendors are not completely honest. And at the end of the day, we can't rely on vendors who have contracted 2 or 3 cities at once, and the airport. We learned that the hard way, and so we just had to invest in buying some equipment for ourselves and putting together stronger contracts with vendors that we use on the outside. And we've also allowed local folks we begin to pay local people who have their own trucks and plows to help. We call it a Minuteman program to help us with the kind of side streets and other kind of things in the city, which help us focus on areas in the downtown more. In terms of the streets, we have repaired maybe 30-40 miles of road in the city, mostly in neighborhoods, up the hill. and we are, focusing a lot. We focus a lot downtown. Some of it is PSE&G doing a lot of work, and we can't. We don't want to fix a street that they're doing work on because they're going to tear the street up. So we are coordinating with them, and to their credit, they've helped us pave a lot of the streets. They helped us pave downtown Broad Street, for example. They tore it up enough. We told them that they had to pave it, and they did it. Right? They did it, and they've actually paved 300 streets for us in the city since last year. And we're going to get them to do more. Right.
And we also do have a new snow removal plan, because that's always important, right? New equipment with the new grade plan. So we do have that, and we had that last year, which things were definitely much better than the years before. And we're hoping for a better year this year. Let us know. Prayerfully.
One less note.
Yeah, definitely let us know. We have time for one more question.
This woman, Ms. Cutter, came to.
Oh, yes. Thank you. See, that's what y'all advocating for each other. Get that tenant association going.
So, this is about parking and ticketing. I used the app. I don't know if this happened to people. I used the app, paid for parking, came downstairs, and I had a ticket on my car. And in the last month, it's happened 3 times.
Yeah, that's the parking authority.
Yeah, terrible.
But I learned
That's happened.
I lost my driver's license once over there.
Yeah. I learned that
Yeah, and then I had to go down.
there's 2 apps.
You could come up
And
with
the parking authority is almost, it's never open.
Well, I went over to parking authority.
We
They
have
gave me a
to,
number.
you can tell us though, we can engage them with these complaints, but
Yeah.
ultimately, we don't control their
Yeah, I
votes,
went to
but
them and they told me to go to City Hall. I had to take the ticket over there. First I had to email.
to pay it. they say.
First I had to email. I emailed.
You don't know why you got the ticket.
Yeah.
right?
Because I had to email and show proof that I paid for the parking,
Oh, okay,
which I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
And then they told me I still had to go to court.
Right.
So I had to go, City Hall, number like 56,
If you
know,
call
but-
within 24 hours and prove it, you can actually not
Yeah.
pay for it.
It's actually 48 hours.
48 hours. You won't have to
see,
pay
they
it.
told me to
If
email.
you
They
have
gave
to.
me an email address to email.
You can
So
also
there's a
fight tickets
number.
through the mail. I've probably won 10 tickets doing that, just as telling them it's too much of a pain to go to court and
The point
do it
is,
by
we
mail.
shouldn't have to
But
do
right,
it.
Oh, I know, but
yeah, like,
what do you
why-
do?
So they should fix the problem, whatever their
Right.
problem is about.
Yes,
I mean,
but till then.
So yeah, we'll speak with them about that.
Break them open.
We can definitely take your information as well, just to try to get more details. We like to have the actual facts when we usually call them to do.
We just started bringing them into our regular Friday meetings too, into our city staff meetings. They don't have to come, but they have obliged us because in order for them to make money, we have to pass laws to allow them to make money. So that's.
And we also can invite them out to the next meeting. We actually just had them out. We do from my office a business roundtable meeting quarterly, and we had one with downtown, of course, businesses, and we had them come because most of the complaints were regarding parking. Business owners were getting ticketed, and we had them come. So we can definitely invite them out to the next community meeting too to talk about some of those concerns.
What about, I know they were working on something that they talked to me about maybe 2 years ago, about having zone parking that would allow people to park in zones.
That
They
hasn't
pay
flipped off
a fee.
yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was talking about as well. You said one, but let's one, two. That's
All right, so thank you both for coming. I think the Newark Police Department has a website where anybody can go and look at the live video feed of, I think, 100 or more security cameras around this area. And so I think, I've been there. So I think the idea is that people can report crime if they see it or something like that. So I'm concerned about crime, but I'm also concerned about widespread surveillance and normalizing this idea that citizens should be surveilling other citizens. So is the information that is coming out of this, is it good enough to justify what some people, if you just told them on the street that there's a video feed of them online, would probably consider an invasion of privacy?
Well, it has been, but we live in once you walk out your house, you're on tape. Like from stores to office buildings to everything else is already there. I mean, what the police are saying is that the information that people have, that they want it to be organized so they can be able to do something about what's going on. So what's happening is people who at work are looking at their home and looking at their block, and there's stuff happening on their block. They're reporting those things that are happening on their block without having to make a police report and go into the precinct and put themselves in danger. So they can call the police, and the police are able to look at the same camera that they're looking at simultaneously and say, there's a guy out there, he's been out there since this morning, so forth and so on. And the police can go to that area, and begin to find out what's going on. We're also, we're upgrading it to allow police officers to able to have it on their phones, and that's the next stage of it, right? So some officers will be able to look at the camera on their own phone in the car. So when they get a call for dispatch, they can patch it up and see what's going on before they even get to the area. So more importantly, that's what the cameras are designed to do, the kind of technology to put people in places where we don't have to spend all of our money on police officers, which is a huge part of the city's budget. We want to divert some of that money into some kind of social service programs and other kind of things that we really need. We don't just want to have 2,000, 3,000 police officers that we purchase every year. It's cost the city a whole lot of money. Sometimes the cameras are necessary, and sometimes bodies are necessary, depending on where the area is. And when we go to community meetings, those are the people that are asking for it. So we don't come up with this idea. The people in the community say, look, I want to know where's the camera on my block.
Sounds like there should be one on Commerce Street. Parking.
Well, there's cameras down here already. Those are called traffic cameras. So the traffic cameras are all over the place. Before the police even did any of that, we have traffic cameras everywhere that we were using before Christie stopped us from using it. That we were using to be able to ticket people, to do different things, and we were using those same traffic cameras, for criminal situations as well, but mostly for ticketing people who are doing what you guys are saying, running red lights, doing these other kind of things. We can send them a ticket right in the mail, which is the city actually, when that was up and running, the city actually generated $4 million worth of tickets from people mostly who did not live in the city of Newark, who were probably driving through red lights and doing all these other kinds of things. Yes.
So why is it all? Because
Yeah. Yes.
Easy revenue, right?
They argued that obviously the people who were getting tickets didn't like it. They argued that we shouldn't have done it, that it was being done for to generate revenue and not for safety. But obviously it is for safety. But the revenue is a byproduct of that. And you mail somebody a ticket a few times, they're going to be careful when they drive down the street because they know somebody is watching them when they come through that red light.
Well, Christie is gone. He's gone.
36. He's gone.
He's gone.
He's
Thank
gone.
you.
And so we need to figure out how to get it reinstated. So we've been talking about it.
What about Amazon? Are we going to get Amazon?
I'll talk about that right before I leave. This brother right here, yeah.
So I'm coming up on 20 years working in Newark, and I've lived in this building for 12. And you say call the police. I don't think I've had one single positive experience with the police. I had one time where somebody had robbed me on the street, and I went down to the precinct, and a detective never came to take a report.
On Market Street?
22 Franklin.
Oh, Franklin Street.
Yeah, I've had experiences where I had something stolen off my car. I called the police. They just never came, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't really care at this point. And
you have to call the police, and if the police don't respond, you call the police on the police.
And they don't you'll see them drive right past somebody with no lights on at night. They don't do anything about it. Like they're just not helpful at all, really. And so, just
well, those things those things need to be reported, right? So especially down here where taking it for granted, if they're up top and something like that happens, people are going to complain. They're going to fuss. They're going to say something. So we have to get the same kind of pattern. Like, listen, the police got to get out their cars. They have to do this. They have to do. When we go to community meetings, people fuss. Police have to get out their car. They have to come in the building.
You report that too if the police don't really seem to care.
Well, you report it to the captain.
Okay.
The captain of the district.
Escalate.
Can you have them come?
Yes.
That's what we were announcing earlier about hosting another meeting where we can have.
Metro Division should be here. Should get the Metro Division and maybe somebody from the the problem is this is 2 precincts in one. That's why the Metro is important. So just bring the Metro District, and then we could probably get some community service officers from.
The Metro has Captain has resources.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a whole unit here. So we can, like I said earlier, we can bring them, invite them out, have another meeting, invite them to come out. But definitely if you have something like that happen, you can always call my office too. That's
Okay.
what we're here for. So make sure Nikki Graham, who is here tonight, Nikki, she's somewhere in the building, she represents this district. So definitely get her card. If you have any issues, you're not getting the services you're supposed to get, things are happening, definitely shoot us a call. We like to be responsive. We're here working for you, and so definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, you can't let police officers.
Yeah, definitely. That's like very concerning. You can't let that happen.
Yeah, like 8 times bad experiences with that. You know, it's like,
Yeah, that's not cool.
yeah.
You do for change.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Not to
What about Amazon?
Amazon is probably going to pick 2 cities in about 3 or 4 days.
So 3 or 4 days?
Yes.
Yeah, they're doing
So-
2 cities, I heard that tonight.
They're going to do 2 cities. In a couple of days, we'll probably know what's going on. Newark is still in the running. So, you know, we're really trying to figure that out. And more than anything, you know, we got involved in this more than anything because of, you know, when somebody says 50,000 jobs, I think it's kind of irresponsible not to be involved in it, particularly since you have unemployment rate that's higher than the states and the country. You have to do something to be in that, and so we jumped in head first. We forced Christie at that time to pick Newark. They wanted to pick New Brunswick and City and all these other places. So we went through all of that fight. We got to where we are now. They came to Newark multiple times, and more than anything, you know, we think we won already. So we feel like the Boston Celtics last year in the Cleveland Cavaliers game. We didn't belong there, but we was happy to be there. So at the end of the day, that's how we felt, and we've already received a lot of, you know, positive press and interest. Mars, the candy company, wound up coming here. We got the Alexa conference because of that. That's going to make this the annual stop. You know, so there are a lot of interest has been generated in our town, and we got the state to begin to focus on our infrastructure and begin to look how important it is. Our bridges, our roads, Penn Station, other kind of things that they would not have been interested in if we didn't entertain Amazon. You know, because we entertained that and got involved, now they're focused more on Newark than they probably ever been in many, many, many decades, which is beneficial to us. So, you know, while
And all those things are
Amazon
better
would be
than
great,
Amazon anyway.
while it'd be great to have them, if they don't come, I mean, I'm not going to jump off a bridge. You know what I mean? I think we've already went to the championship. We good.